Hello everybody, my name is Alex and I'm an application specialist at EG4 Electronics. And today we're going to discuss the Chargeverter Plus, which is the latest generation in our Chargeverter series. And inside this very box is the Chargeverter with all the features and upgrades that we believe is going to meet today's market standards. Now in this video, you should see exactly what you're going to get out of this box as we've pulled it directly from our shelves. On the market, you hear of THD, which is total harmonic distortion. That's just a fancy way of saying that the sine wave that a generator produces or that a piece of equipment produces is a little dirty and damage sensitive electronics like our inverters. That being said, the Chargeverter doesn't really care how dirty that sine wave is, specifically produced by a generator, because it takes that AC current and voltage and turns it into a usable chargeable battery voltage and current for our batteries like you see behind me. So the primary application that we can see this being used in is to clean up that dirty sine wave and just convert it into DC so that way we can charge our batteries. Now that's not to say that it can't be used in other applications, as this can be used as a standard charger with a very high charging current. With that, we can take the 3 to 4 hour charging time with some of the smaller lithium chargers on the market and take it down to about an hour and a half with our servo rack batteries. Now that's at 240 volts, but we can also connect it to a 120 volt circuit, but that's going to bring the charging current down just a little bit. All right, we got the box open. It's cardboard. We have mounting brackets. We have our user manual here. We'll set that right here. We have our 240 volt plug. We have our communication cable. We can closed loop communicate with the battery. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. And we also have our paralleling cables, or our charging cables, which will connect to the batteries themselves. Here is the Chargeverter, and it comes in this packaging. But with this, we can see on the front here, we have our LCD screen, which we can use to configure and commission the charging profile and charging settings, as well as our battery breaker. And on the side here, we have our communication port. We have our terminals to connect our weather-tight battery cables, which are right here, as well as this green terminal block, which can be utilized to send dry contact stop and start signals for your generator. And on the other side here, we have our connection point, which is going to connect our 240 volt or 120 volt circuit into the Chargeverter itself. But let's talk about the cables next. So in the packaging, we have our battery charging cables here, and we have our weather-tight connections on one end, and then we have ring terminals on the other. We have our 240 volt plug, as well as our weather-tight connection here that will connect to our Chargeverter. And then we have our green terminal block and our signaling cables that we can use for our generator. And last, but certainly not least, we have our battery communication cable that we can use to set up closed loop communication with our batteries. We also have our mounting brackets. And these mounting brackets will mount on the back, and you have your screw holes here that you can mount to your surface, and you have a few tiny Phillips head screws that will secure the mounting brackets to the Chargeverter, as well as some screws to mount to the structure like the wall. Let's discuss connecting to your AC power source. It comes pre-configured with a 240 volt 4-prong connection here. And on the other end, this is where we will take our cable and connect it to this port here on the Chargeverter. So we need to lock it and make sure that it's locked into place so we can't pull it out. If you want to convert this in from 240 to 120 volts, we recommend that you still use a 3-prong or 4-prong connection type, preferably with a 30 amp outlet, because we will be pulling high amounts of current to charge the batteries with. And then we have our battery charging cables here. This will connect to this orange terminal here. And all we're doing is we're just going to push in, but we want to hear an audible click. That's going to make sure that the terminal is on there securely, and then we'll connect our negative cable as well. Continuing on, after we've connected our battery terminals here, we have our battery COM port, and we can take our battery communication cable which is just a standard Cat 5 or Cat 6 cable. And this will connect to our battery's BMS, or the battery COM port on our batteries, 280 amp hour, 314, or even the server rack batteries. And that way you can set up closed loop communication and pull all the data from the BMS. Great feature to have. We also have, as we discussed earlier, our green terminal block. And with this, we can run this signal, these signaling wires, to a generator to signal on or off. That way you can utilize your generator automatically and you don't have to worry about running out in the freezing cold or the rain if you need to kick your batteries on. If you have any questions, please don't be afraid or hesitate to reach out to our technical support team. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I'm Alex, and this is EG4 Electronics. Thank you all so much for watching.